Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Long as I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on Tampa, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL. When things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, probably like this and I'm a Who Dat. Every day I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a Who Dat. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. You're
listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
All right, shout out to the mighty Who Dat Nation. We in this thing. Welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. Shout out to the fam. Appreciate y'all for being in the live. Much love to you guys. Appreciate you for being in the stream on this one, man. Let's kind of delve into what's been happening with the black and gold, man. I tell you one thing. We've been seeing some stuff, haven't we, family, with the Saints as we gearing up. A lot of movement on the home front as we get ready for the Cardinals, man. Today, Thursday, man, we got, we got a handful of games, or days, rather, before the big game on Sunday. We know the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys face off tonight. Philly, of course, coming off that championship win. Kellen Moore helped them guys do it. Guess what? They're here as well. And we're going to see exactly how this team will do, man, tonight in terms of what the black and gold got, man. I'm just happy to see we almost here, fam. Aren't we? We almost here. But anyway, big ups to the fam. Appreciate y'all for being alive. Y'all do me a service by hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button. By all means, feel free to share the show on your social media feed. As always, man, we up in here representing the mighty Who Dat Nation. We know we have some stuff going on with like I said, the Eagles as they tip off the season. Hey, man, ain't nothing to talk about right there. We black and gold, true and true. You heard me? All right, so big ups to y'all, man. Let's get into it, man, on some of this stuff. Much love. All right, so big ups, man. I see you, Tamika. Shout out to Tamika and Cartel. Shout out to you. Good to see you in the building as well. Bronze Flat Power Guy. Shout out to you, fam. What's up, brother Derek? Shout out to you, my brother. Good to see y'all in the stream as always, man. We up in this thing, man. Let's kick it off, bro, because this is going to be interesting in terms of the black and gold, man. We'll start off with this here injury report as we go full screen, man, and Thursday's injury report against the Cardinals. And by the way, man, for the family members, tomorrow we'll have the Arizona Cardinals will have a podcaster who will come into, actually two of them. They represent the Phoenix, the Arizona Cardinals side of things, man. We're going to have those guys to come in and kind of talk about the Arizona Cardinals and how they feeling. And they're feeling pretty good about their Arizona Cardinals, man. The Cardinals, they feel like they have some good pieces on the offense. They feel like they done did good work on their offensive line. A lot of people feel like they have the weapons and Marvin Harrison's son that's out there to carry the day. They feel good about the running back situation with Connors, the Terminator. Kyler Murray is healthy. And of course, we're going to cover this on tomorrow's stream. But one of the things that we kind of look at in terms of the New Orleans Saints is the big question is the defense. Can the Saints wrangle It's one of the big questions. But we're facing a mobile quarterback, and that is not a good look for us because most of the times in previous reincarnations, the last 4 years under the Coach Possum era, we have not been able to slow down a speedy quarterback or a mobile QB threat. That has been our Achilles heel. Does it continue? Can the defense, which does have enough speed and intelligence, can they stop or slow down Kyler Murray? He is their offense. So anyway, let's hit this injury report, man, and we'll get through and through. What's up, Bev? Shout out to Beverly as well. Much love. Appreciate y'all. Give me the who dat if y'all in the chat, baby, and I'll give you a who dat back. All right, so anyway, injury report tonight. Now, the Saints have a few people on the injury report. Penning, of course, did not practice. He's dealing with a toe issue, and people call it a turf toe, whatever you want to call it. DMP Wednesday and Thursday. So we know it's a slim possibility that he will play in the week 1 matchup for the Saints coming up on Sunday. There are also injuries. Christian Boyd dealing with a hand situation. Jordan Howden also with an oblique. Well, Christian fully practiced. From yesterday, he was limited. Jordan Howden's status did not change. With the oblique, he is limited for Wednesday and Thursday. And of course, you look at Alontae Taylor, who had a groin issue, but Alontae is limited in action. A lot of people still anticipate Alontae Taylor will play in the week 1 matchup for the New Orleans Saints. Chase Young was one that kind of popped up there. Yesterday was limited, but then went from limited to DMP. Anytime that happens, that's always a point to be concerned about when you see players that were limited the time before and then they go from limited to DMP. That's not good, but we will have to see. All right, so anyway, let's move on to this article right here, man, and talk about it here, because that's one of what the shows basically represent. It's the fact that Chase Young missed today's practice, and it calls into his questions his availability for the week 1 matchup. So shout out Nodal.com. After suffering a calf injury, defensive end did not participate in team's Thursday's practice. Coach Kellen Moore downplayed the injury after Wednesday practice, saying that Young just had a little something. But his absence Thursday now creates some doubt about his availability for the Saints week 1 opener against the Arizona Cardinals. Now, what would be a huge defensive loss as the Saints kick off its 2025 season. After practice, Young did not offer whether or not he would play, but he said he does not consider his injury to be a long-term issue. The Saints pass rusher did sign a big contract extension this offseason and looked poised to deliver on his promise in 2025. He turned in an impressive training camp under defensive coordinator Brandon Staley, routinely disrupting Saints offensive plays. If outside of defensive MVPs that we've seen this camp, man, you got to say it about Chase Young was all over the damn place. You know, I'm not gonna tell y'all seen a lot of the footage of him flying in there. The change of what happened to the Saints defense with Chase Young just it just changed. It just really made everything look a lot different. It really did, to be honest with you guys. It turned a lot of stuff around, in my opinion, with Chase Young. He just looked more motivated and having fun. His speed and like that 34 look for him is a lot different. I mean, he looked enthused. And then the thing about it, too, was the fact that when the Saints gave him the extension to be here, Mickey Loomis with like 1 year prove-it deal. He stayed healthy for the season, got his contract. A lot of people don't like the contract, but if Chase Young lives up to it at that position, and the guys obviously have the talent, you just have to put it together, and it's going to be interesting to see. So we'll see indeed. So he signed a big contract extension, looked poised to deliver on his promise, turning an impressive training camp performance. If Young can't go, it would leave New Orleans with Carl Granderson, Cam Jordan, and Chris Rump II at its edge position. The 7th-round rookie Fadil Diggs could also be a candidate to be called up from the practice squad, which could happen. Fadil Diggs, by all indications, should have also made this team. But like I say, Chris Rump did do what he needed to do. The only other change to injury report Thursday was Christian Boyd being upgraded, which is good for our defense. A defensive back, Alontae Taylor groin, and safety Jordan Howard and oblique continued to be limited, while Penning toe missed practice as of right now. The main thing to talk about dealing with the Saints, they relatively are healthy. Everybody's healthy. Now, whether Chase Young plays in this next game, we'll see, but they do have quality backup and depth that can operate that 34 look. So it's going to be interesting no matter how you count it and how you look at it. Let me get that on screen, matter of fact, and get a look-see at that Saints defense, man, and see how it would look. So, of course, Chase Young, you can see he's listed as questionable right here, and you can see behind him is Chris Rumph, the second, who's putting in a hellified practice at training camp and preseason as well. Chris Rumph was a pleasant surprise for a lot of the black and gold members who just constantly watch this man put on plays and make plays and earn the spot on the team. He knows this defense. He's real comfortable in the defense, and he does have some NFL experience here. So if Chase can't go, it'll open the door for Mr. Chris Rumph, who has this bright eye. I don't know if your guys ever seen interviews from Chris Rumph the second, but the guy has he got the Cam Jordan thing going on, right? He got the eye bucking, the big kid persona, you know what I mean? Y'all seen him in the presser with him with the eyes bucking and, you know, with the all the energy and all that kind of stuff. So he's a fascinating character, man. But if Chase can't go, we will have this veteran guy been in the league for 4 years, with the Chargers. Like we know, Coach Staley is familiar with Chris Rumph, a 4th round pick for them out of the University of Duke of 4 years ago. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this team. So we'll just keep an eye out on Chase Young. He has not been ruled out. He is. We'll see. But like I said, it's always a problem when you are limited. Then you go from limited to do not practice. That's if it's in reverse, it's an issue, no doubt about it. So anyway, let's push on, man, and talk about stuff, because we also going to cover and listen to some of the reaction from some of our coordinators and stuff like that. They had their coordinator press conference. We'll listen to a little bit of that as we move on ahead. Now, we got a little something to report on right here. Who Dat Nation, shout out to Canal Street Chronicles. The Saints did sign another player to its practice squad, defensive end Garrett Nelson, and the team did announce that it released QB Hunter Deckers. So the Saints make the move today. New Orleans Saints are signing defensive end Garrett Nelson to the practice squad and releasing quarterback Hunter Deckers. Now, who the hell is Garrett Nelson? Nelson was a standout outside linebacker at the University of Nebraska, was a 3-year starter with the Huskers before going undrafted in 2023 and signing with the Miami Dolphins. Now, the Huskers standout most recently spent time with the San Antonio Brahmas of the UFL before signing with the Broncos in late July. Nelson had an impressive preseason with the Broncos, leading to his spot on the Saints practice squad. Defensive end Chase Young is currently dealing with a groin injury, and while it isn't being considered significant, New Orleans is adding the young edge rusher as insurance. In corresponding move, the Saints have released quarterback Hunter Deckers. The rookie quarterback spent time on the roster practice squad for the Saints. The Saints signed 3rd-year quarterback Jake Haener to the 53-man roster early this week, but will likely look to bring Deckers back when the pieces fit. So yeah, he's been bouncing back and forth, and usually this is a telltale sign that something is going wrong with Chase Young. When you talk about, okay, we go from from limited to DMP, and then you add a defensive player the same day. That usually means we might have a little stumble bump or two that we have to deal with. So anyway, I don't think, and this guy obviously comes from the Denver Broncos, as the picture indicates, another Sean Payton connection there possibly. But outside of that, man, Chris Rumph could be a guy that plays. Fadil Diggs could also be called up. I would look at that. But that's what it means to have security and to have backups that are ready to step in and keep things twisting and turning. That's what that depth thing does. So it's just really good, the fact that the Saints always trying to stay ahead of this thing. It's going to be very key when you have issues with your players from an injury standpoint or a player standpoint or performance standpoint, betterly said. If that does happen, you have to be able to pivot away from, said player if they need to go on the injury list, or if their performance is not that good and is suffering the team, then you must move past player, right? And see if you can find a way to get them together, or if you can't get them together, find somebody else, because we got to keep it going. We can never allow our roster or depth chart prevent us from seizing the day and getting wins and handling business. That's how we got to do this thing. All right. So anyway, like I said, well, shout out to Garrett Nelson and welcome to the New Orleans Saints. Look at Garrett.
That is
wrong button. Wrong button. Big ass hands. Big fingers. There you go. That's the one. That's the right one. All right. So anyway, big ass fingers. I mean, you be on my phone doing stuff, fam, and I hitting something and I be texting. And the next thing I hit this and then it'll be a space at something. I'm like, man, I didn't. Big ass fingers. So anyway, let me keep this thing going, man. Shout out to Garrett Nelson. Welcome to the team. And Hunter Deckers. We shall see you back sooner or later because somebody is going to either have an issue, and I'm pretty sure the Saints are interested in bringing them back. All right, so anyway, moving on to the next one, baby. This underrated Saints cornerback could emerge into a defensive star. Shout out to Yard Barker covering it. This is originally from Sports Illustrated on the Saints side. Shout out to my guy, Kyle T. Mosley. Saints have one of the worst rosters in football, but they still have a chance to win games in 2025 if their defense can outperform expectations. The offense led by Spencer Rattler isn't going to blow teams away. So it's going to have to be the young and improved defense that carries the bulk of the load for New Orleans, that led by a few stars. Mr. Gray of The Dish said some high praise for expectations for the Saints' young cornerbacks and Kool-Aid McKinstry. So they lead right away with the fact that the Saints offense is not going to be that good. How do these people know this? I mean, I've seen constantly year after year, teams that people give no chance to just rail away and handle business. You don't really know. You can't honestly say you didn't see Spencer Rattler operate the Saints' secret offense. I say secret offense because we hadn't seen the shit. We hadn't seen what they're doing behind closed doors. They kick the media out and they run the stuff that they want to run, right? And they hold on to it as much as they can to give them an opportunity, because once the NFL gets it, they're going to start peeling it away from you and seeing what you can do. And that's when the real test begins. That's when we seen in weeks 1 and weeks 2 last year when Clint Kubiak was running the show and he was doing all this fanciful stuff because the NFL was like, damn, this is something different. But when week 3 came around, you start seeing the league moves fast, and they started to adapt and adjust to what the Saints was doing, and they started to take stuff away from them. And when they put this away, took this away, what do you do? Can you adjust? Can you adapt? Do you have offensive imagination and ingenuity where you can keep your game going? And they did not. They did not have it. And then you've been seeing the whole damn year even when the starters came back, they could not generate what they did from weeks 1 and 2 because the secret is out. The big thing, the big key to success in the NFL, outside of being intelligent and being spot on with your game and being thorough with your team and knowing who you are with an identity, is that you have to also be able to just be about the business of making the adaptations or the adjustments when they're called for. You have to do that. You have to know how to move guys around. And if you got stars here, you got to get these guys involved. If we only have a handful of people that are super good on the team, and it's levels to it. You have other guys like a Mason Tipton who are really young, good players. And you have great players like Elvin, really solid, great players like Alavi. Rashid Shaheed is an awesome player as well. So you got these high level guys. You got to use them to pull opportunities for these other guys nobody don't know nothing about. Because many times defenses will key in on those said names. And if this other guy, they don't care about him. If Mason Tipton have 10 catches for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns on the NFL team, they'll say that somebody beat them or nobody beat them, but he ain't going to be Alvin Kamara. That's how they feel about it. If this Valley has 5 catches for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns on the NFL team, well, damn, he took them apart. But at least it wasn't Rashid Shaheed. That's how they look at it. They can't game plan. You can't stop everybody. So you just dial in on the stars. You try to take the stars away. And if I use other players to beat you, they'll live with that. That's how they do, because they know they can't stop everybody. So they would simply live with those results, right? But the key to it is also getting those guys going, the backups to help and assist when your stars are going to shine and provide opportunities. They'll get you over the line. But also everybody has to play a part in the success of the team. So I question a lot of the writers, including the people that write for our team about carrying the line, the national line about the Saints. Listen, if you had some proof that you can put before the court and say, hey, man, this is my proof right here. The thing is, nobody has seen the Saints defense. They don't know what the hell the the offense. They don't know what the Saints offense looks like. They don't know what it looks like. Hell, they don't know. They never seen it before. All you seen was vanilla practice plays that they're not going to use. They're not going to use that stuff. They got an entire playbook that he's been working on when they push the reporters out, and they do that in the solitude and the secrecy of their practices behind closed doors. Then they run the stuff that works for them. So the point is, I don't see how we are tasked, and these people supposed to know this, is that how you sitting up here ranking them this low and you ain't seen shit from them. I'm just asking the question, how the hell do you know? What the hell are you going by? They got the worst roster in the NFL. Oh, give me a break. So they got a roster worse than the Jets, the Dolphins, teams that were fourth place. We playing the Arizona Cardinals. They were fourth place. The Titans, Saints got they lined up for the number 1 overall pick to get a player that ain't coming out until 2026 or 26. So, 27, actually, because he ain't coming out next year. And Arch. It's all this fanciful nonsense. You don't have any proof. It's just straight, hot, stinking opinion. You haven't seen it yet. That's the point. The whole thing about Spencer Rattler. He was awful last year. Yes, Spencer Rattler struggled. He was a rookie. He's allowed to struggle if you're a rookie. Hell, if you're a second-year quarterback, you're allowed to struggle a little bit. Hell, don't tell me that you ain't go to your job and screw up and drop some shit and tear up some stuff and then hope and pray they didn't fire your ass. Nobody perfect on their job. But what I'm saying is that these guys are allowed to learn on the job and improve. And yet to say anything about who's best and who's worst, you don't know how these teams are going to perform until they are there. That's my point. Whether it's right or wrong, or how they do this, that, and the third. My point is they don't know shit about what this offense looks like. None of us do. We can guess, but it's just a guess. It's just that. It's not fact. I'm telling you, it's not fact. We don't know. So this crap about the Saints is the worst team and all this bullshit. I don't know whether this is national commentary nonsense from people that don't do nothing but do a side eye of your team. Now, these people ain't doing any real extensive research on the Saints, the national media, the people that just do a little side eye at you. They don't have time to do that. They're too busy focusing on everybody else's team, pretending like they know about your team. And then they throw you bombard you with stats all day. Well, the Saints is this. It's amazing. Kool-Aid McKinstry is prime for a big year in New Orleans and open up the defense. The defense is going to be what the defense is going to do what they do. I still think the Saints will have an opportunity to do some things, just like most teams. But I am most interested in how the offense is going to look because it's by the offense. If you got a head coach that's a quarterback, that's an offensive-driven person, and his team is being led by the defense, you got some problems. The offense needs to lead the Saints. We're not doing this Dennis Allen bullshit. We did that for the last 4 years when we talked about the defense leading the offense and how did that get you? Where did that get you? And this stuff about Derek Carr and all this kind of stuff. Derek Carr was a bad decision for the Saints. He was one game over 500. And they did better than the rest of them. Hell, the rest of them, man, you... Derek Carr, $150 million for 14 wins and 13 losses. Get the hell out of here, man. Carr wasn't shit. We knew he wasn't shit. We knew that. He was not. It's not a surprise he retired. It's not. I told y'all, I said he could not survive without Dennis Allen protecting him. He could not stand up before the face of the Who Dat Nation with all the heat bearing down on him to win. He would not do that. He couldn't even stand up to the pressure that was Spencer Rattler in his rookie year because he was more popular than him. Come on, man. These people here ain't made for this shit, man. They're not made. We know who not made for this shit, man. You can look at these dudes, how they sound, all that freaking talking he did and all this bullshit. And we ran right through that guy. That guy we knew who he was. And when his buddy Dennis the Possum Allen got put in the cannon and fired to Chicago, we knew it was a moment of time before he got out of here too. So all he did was blessed us with his what you call it, not with his presence, but with his departure, baby. Now let's get back to football and accountability. That's what I want. All right, anyway, Kool-Aid McKinstry time. Only validated the expectations with a strong camp. His performance, one of the most discussed throughout the process. Now it's time to translate practice to game day. Kool-Aid McKinstry, to me, is a guy that's ready for some big-time stuff. Now, he kind of had, in that preseason game, he kind of struggled. You've seen Sutton, they attacked Sutton. And Sutton's a big physical wide receiver, and he made some plays on the Kool-Aid man. But what happens is he's allowed to have that to happen because Kool-Aid is going to grow because he's got that temperament. Kool-Aid's a dog. He got that mentality, and they have a good one in Kool-Aid McKinstry. That's just the bottom line. They have a good one in Kool-Aid. Now, after trading Laddie Daddy and losing Paulson in free agency, Kool-Aid has been thrust into the top cornerback role on the team. That means he'll be matched up with Marvin Harrison Jr., Mike Evans, Drake London, Tyreek Hill through this year. It's going to be fun. This is going to be a year. This is going to be a year for the Kool-Aid man, right? Young cornerback was impressive last season, but he's been far more impressive in training camp in the preseason. Saints need to take a huge step in the coming months if they want to change and win a few games, want to win more than a few. If McKinstry is getting torched week in and week out, the Saints will be one of the worst teams in the NFL. If he can lock down opposing receivers, also will have a chance. First of all, he won't get torched every week. Not saying that he would, but he won't. Why? Because when you have intelligent safety play, when you got guys like a Justin Reed, who's really intelligent, when you have guys like Julian Blackmon, who all he does is get picks and make plays. When you got high intelligent safety play, that takes a lot of that out of there. And plus, like I said, Kool-Aid McKinstry is allowed to, have a flub 2 or 3 or 4 because he's still a young cornerback. But at the end of the day, it's not only on him. Everybody must step in, lock in, handle business. But if you want to put your money on somebody that will show some improvement this upcoming year, put your money on the Kool-Aid man. He gonna make it pop for you. All right, anyway, man, let's keep it moving and grooving, man. Let's move on to the next thing, man. Shout out to you guys. I want to play this for you. Hold on, let me get it set up here for the family members here. And we're gonna get to it and play this interview right here. I just thought it was fascinating. This interview that our young quarterback did, Spencer Rattler did with Aaron, where he talked about some stuff here and going forward. And this is his time, and it's just seeing where he came from to where he is now, and knowing that, hey, man, guess what? It's your time to shine. It's your time in the sun. Is now your opportunity to become and do what you're supposed to do as a quarterback. We have arrived, Mr. Spencer Rattler. And like I said, he's going to have a certain period of time right now because they don't feel Tyler's ready. But listen, you got before they start, if Tyler's handling his business, he'll scave off the Tyler Shuck thing because Tyler Shuck is going to be getting better. We know that Kellen, like, he drafted Tyler. He's a 2nd round pick, picked him up real high. So Spencer Rattler knows I got the job. I know I just barely won it, but it's still my job. I have to handle it. I got it now. I'm a starting quarterback now. I got to handle the business. So let's listen to Spencer Rattler, man, on this interview. Then we'll do a few other things.
Coaches I've had in the past, so everybody's excited. I'm excited. Teammates were excited. So that's always a great feeling.
How did you attack the offseason and maybe draw off some of your games from last year and the experience there to improve and head into camp and this season better?
Yeah. Really just all the little areas, focus on footwork, timing, being more decisive. And obviously the best reps is experience and getting reps in, live action or in practice versus our one defense. So I think the offseason was great for me. And then OTAs, training camp, preseason was just, an extra layer on the cake to improve.
People always reference your decision-making and how quickly you're able to make those decisions. Sounds great. It looks great when it happens, but how do you execute that quickly?
Yeah, it's not going to be perfect at all every time. We all know that. It's an 11-man game, so we all have to be on our job. And, I think that's one thing we preached is, own our little small details so everybody can be on the same page, and then everybody can play fast. So we got that good chemistry going. So I just try to distribute the ball, run the play that's called, and trust in my training.
When people refer to you, they say you're very confident, maybe have some swagger, some moxie. What does that mean?
I just think ever since I was a kid, I've wanted to always be confident. That's what my parents taught me. Be confident in yourself and what you can do, but also, be confident in others around you, your teammates, your coaches. So, I mean, that's kind of a collective thing, but I think as a quarterback, you want to have a little something to you, and I think I can even take that bar to the next level and bring more energy for the team and bring more of that, out of me. So, yeah.
What fuels that fire, that little something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think, just kind of as a team, I feel like we're overlooked. Everybody's kind of sleeping on us this year, but we want to, prove people wrong, and we want to go out there and play great, play fast, play strong, play together. And I got confidence in this whole team, and we're excited for the opportunity.
What is it about Coach Kellen Moore that you related to quickly? Because he seems like he's come in and the guys have really taken to him.
Yeah, no, his just fresh energy. I think that's the word everybody's been using. He came in and it was a culture change for sure. Very positive, very big on team bonding, which was new to a lot of us. And I think that just brings us closer. And then, even basic things like how he schedules out everything. I think guys are a lot healthier this year. Guys are, bodies are holding up a little better. And
team bonding, which was new to us. Why not? Didn't Dennis Allen, the possum, give you team bonding? Team bonding, which was new to us.
Football
okay.
Stuff. He's played the position at a high level. Obviously, his resume speaks for itself, and
that's
really
funny.
Enjoyed installing this system and building on it each day.
People have said that he played at a high level. I've seen it. I went to some of his games in college. Have you watched any of his game film?
I think when I was younger, I remember watching him, at Boise a little bit. I might have to go back in the archives and watch some tape on him, but no, he only lost 2 games in college and got most touchdowns ever and this and that. So he did his thing in college for sure.
Definitely. And he did mention that while he also ran a 4.9 at the combine, as did you, his was definitely a 4.9, took everything that he had to get that. Whereas he said yours definitely is faster and the game speed is different. Have you clocked yourself in a 40 recently?
No, I'll probably never, ever run a 40 again. That's never been my strength, is that starting track speed. But like you said, I feel like when you got guys chasing you and you got some adrenaline rushing, you just let that take over. The 40 is more technical, stuff like that.
How does this offense under Kellen Moore set you and your teammates up for success?
Mm-hmm. I mean, we got to go out there and do it. That's the number one thing, to be successful. We got to execute at a high level. And I know he's going to call the right plays, put us in the right position to do that. So it's up to us to make that work. But I'm confident in our guys and in myself to do that. I think we have all the weapons we need. We got solid up front, starting with Eric McCoy and our O-line. I think they've had a great offseason. And, obviously the weapons out wide at tight end in the backfield. I mean, got explosive guys for sure.
You can keep up with them, right?
Yeah.
Well, the whole thing is too, man, is that if you listen to Mr. Spencer, he's telling you, man, at the first, she asked him about the Kellen Moore offense, and the guy is quick. He didn't give anything. Didn't tell you specifically, but the prior question, he kind of mentioned the fact that we got to play fast. And that's the key to it. The key to it for the Saints with the track team, Saints offense, is a blitz mood. You as an offense, with all the speed they have, Saints have to play fast. They have to. They're going to have to identify the mismatches, lining up with the receiver play. Get the ball out fast, meaning not just how fast our guys is to get in and out of breaks and be able to beat the one-on-one matchups and to put pressure on defenses to produce packages where you have 4 and 5 defensive backs out there, possibly. And you have Speed and Elvin moving around and Vellis and Devin Neal and all of our fantastic 5 wide receivers, all these guys out here. It's going to be, we got to start fast and furious, and getting the ball out fast helps the offensive line too, because we don't have to worry that much about the left guard or the right guards. You see, getting in and out and being fast, baby. That's what it's about. That's
sure.
Out of the players on the field, who is somebody that you need him on the field for you to be the best that you can be?
That's a tough one. I mean,
Alvin Kamara.
I would say Eric McCoy. He's like our heart and soul up front. It's just,
that's a good one.
Obviously Pro Bowl player, one of the best in the league, and you just feel confident when he's in the game. And then, you got Olave, Shaheed, Jawan, you got AK. I mean, the list goes on and on. So it's hard to pick one guy. But I think we have pretty good depth, and guys will step up and make plays.
Have you envisioned what it's going to look like when you have all those weapons on the field? Because you didn't necessarily have that last year.
Yeah, no, I've seen it live now. Being in there with them, it feels different. It's fun. I mean, they make the game easier for you. And yeah, last year, it's in the past, and we try to make it work with what we had. Those guys fought hard last year, but having these guys back all healthy, you could definitely see on the field, on tape, how explosive it can be.
A quarterback
you said that you're
and
going to
center.
continue to remain confident throughout and know that this is your spot. You are the starter here and not going to relinquish that for anything. How do you execute that, make that happen?
I think that's the biggest thing as a quarterback is you have to keep your confidence throughout the storms and all that, because there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows. That's just part of this league, and it's going to be a challenge every single week, as we all know. So we're going to go out there and fight, and I always live by, if I give 100, 110% out there every rep, and leave nothing on the field, I have no regrets. So I know everybody else will do that, and I'm going to do it for sure.
How different was it coming in year 1 to year 2?
I think just getting thrown in that fire earlier than expected last year was good for me. After looking back at it, getting those live reps, going against good teams, almost all playoff teams last year that I started against, and getting those reps were crucial for me. I think it helped me grow watching tape from last year and then trying to implement things I could work on coming into this year, and talking with Kellen and Nussmeier and Scott and all these guys. And they've done a great job coaching us and fitting our strengths into the system, if you know what I mean. So that's been fun.
Is Nussmeier's voice for real?
Yeah, that's him. I tell you, he's got to speak clear on that mic in practice, but no, we all understand him, man. That's just his natural voice.
With the experience that you have from former quarterbacks in the coaching staff, how much does that benefit you when you don't have?
Is his voice real?
Yeah, I think having 3 guys that play the position on the NFL.
That's funny.
Is crucial. Very beneficial for us. They see the game, like we say, they see the game, and if we see something different, we'll just communicate it. And I think the drills they implement, how the timing of the plays, this and that, they all understand it. So, it's a little different when you have a guy that actually knows what it's like to be in that messy pocket and having to throw somebody hitting you at the same time. They get it. So they get to the physical side and the mental side that goes with the game. So I've enjoyed it.
You mentioned that you really liked how Coach Moore was emphasizing the team bonding element. What was your favorite thing that the team did, or maybe you and some teammates did over the offseason?
Yeah, I think what stands out was probably the paintballing and the bowling. Those are 2 fun events we did, and we're all competitive, so we had different teams and different matchups, so that was fun in the offseason.
All right, we're going to dive in a little bit more on pre-NFL life with Spencer Rattler coming up next on the Gulf Coast Sports Internet.
All right, so anyway, that was a little bit of, if you don't want to listen to the rest of it, it's on the Saints broadcast channel on YouTube and on their website as well. And it's about 23 and 20 minutes, but that's about almost 10 minutes of it right there. And it was pretty interesting and fun to listen to what he had to say basically about the Saints offense and what they need to do. And Spencer didn't give too much away, but we know the key to the Saints is tempo, right? It is tempo. The Saints have to be fast. They have to get in and out of there. They have to be able to kind of move an offense. They got to be fast, right? And that's what if you get all these guys with 40 times that are super fast, you have to be able to have a high or a fast tempo that you play with in and out of breaks. You have to be disciplined. And it's just going to be interesting to see how the Saints do that. And you hear him talk about a player that he can't do without. I said Alvin Kamara. He said Eric McCoy, which is a good choice because that's his center. What's a QB without a great center, right? Anyway, let's kind of tune this thing up. Let's listen to this next fella, his old Nuss Bus, the father, Nussmeier, the ex-business. That's his real voice. He do sound kind of funny, man. But let's listen to Nussmeier for a little bit and see what he had to say about the black and gold. Here we go, fam. Here we go.
Send pressure from every level. Just what's the challenge involved in that?
Well, the biggest challenge for us is communication. And when you play a multiple defense like this, they play in many different structures. You got to make sure everybody's on the same page. So we've stressed all week to our guys that it doesn't necessarily matter if we have the ideal call, because you might not always have the ideal call because these guys disguise so well. But the biggest thing is that everybody's on the same page and we execute the calls we're making.
And how much of a challenge is that? It seems that they will show something pre-snap to force an adjustment and then do something different that attacks that very adjustment. How challenging is that, especially with a young quarterback, or is that helpful in that you can kind of mold that young quarterback to do what you want to do?
Well, obviously, that they're trying to create confusion for the quarterback, and so we would anticipate that we'll get quite a bit of that. And Jonathan's always been really good at that. So it's been a trademark of the stuff he's always done defensively. And I think even last year, probably got a little more exotic than he's been in the past. So we'll be prepared. We're working all different types of looks, obviously, and with a young quarterback, you can anticipate everything.
Aside from the specific challenge of their defense, what's your message to Spencer this week? Because he's, I'm sure, jacked up to go out and make big plays. Yeah, I'm sure you want the game to come as well.
Well, he doesn't need to do anything than what he's done since we got here. And that's, be process driven, prepare the way that we've prepared every day since we got here. And just go be you. Let the offense work for you. You don't have to be the offense. Let the offense work for you and do your job.
Is the Arizona defense that John runs compared to what Brandon runs here? I know they have background together.
Yeah. All these guys, they're all kind of like stepbrothers or however you want to call them. They're kind of intertwined in one way, but they have their own intricacies. So,
you do got a weird voice.
Like Brandon
I
does a
don't know
very
if I
good
can get
job
that
of
one.
trying
Now.
to create doubt and indecision in the quarterback's mind. So there's some similarities, yet there's quite a few differences also.
You got a high version of Fire Marshal Bill
that's when
going
you see
on.
that type of structure,
can.
in practice. And, it's one of the things when you talk about training camp, why you like to get out and do joint practices is because you get to see a different structure. What happens when you play quarterback? Your eyes get trained, seeing the same
I don't know
thing
if I can
over and
get
over
that
again. You
one.
pick up things when you know what's kind of coming. So it's good to see different styles, and this is a unique style.
I know this is his first week prepping as a starting quarterback, but how much of an extra, I guess, prep you seen out of him since he's getting to play his hometown team?
Well, I think that you'd have to ask him that question. I think what I've seen is a guy that's focused, a guy that's prepared the right way, and obviously we still got quite a bit of time before the game, but I believe he'll continue to prepare and be ready to go.
How do you think the preparation have really, gone to another level after, he's won the quarterback competition?
I don't think he's changed. I think that's all three guys in the room. I'll say that for him. Nobody's changed. Like we said, it was a tough decision, and everybody's continued to work. Everybody's continued to be about our process and how we do things.
Devon, how have you seen him kind of pick up the offense? Obviously, it's a quick turnaround.
Sure, really great guy. Done a really good job. Obviously, he's behind in the learning curve a little bit, which is expected. And the biggest thing for us is to put things together for him in packages where he can master a package and not try and take on everything at one point in time.
Does it kind of his skill set in general? How does that make your life easier as an offensive guy? Does that open up some options that might not have been with the smaller?
Could you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Just his skill set, his size. Does that kind of open things up a little bit in terms of how you can attack certain situations?
Well, obviously, it's one of the things you love about the player is his length and his catch radius. And obviously, he's a smart guy, man. I'm telling you, like I said, we kind of start in packages and just to watch how quickly he's picked up the things that we've asked him to do. It's been impressive.
Ask about maybe personal excitement for you being back on the sideline for a regular season game and then the Super Bowl.
I don't know if I can catch that one, man. I can mimic a lot of stuff, man. The guy is a kind of a higher version of Fire Marshal Bill, man, going on. I don't think I can do the Dougie voice, It's got a structure. I can't do that. That'll tear up all your damn throat trying to emulate this fella. All right, but he talking some good game though.
Yeah,
man.
I haven't really thought about it. I've been really just thinking about our team and the Arizona Cardinals, and every time I get a chance to step in that dome, it's special. But this is about me. This is about our players and our team.
Boy, you hit it, man. You hit it dead on it. A round of applause. That's exactly who it is. That's who it is. You are absolutely right. Hold on, fam. Y'all know I'm petty. This Mr. Don, shout out to Mr. Don. Because I was hearing, I was like, man, he reminded me of somebody. Who is it? That is Mills Lane. You are not kidding. Mills Lane is the same. Hold on, man. Where my Mills Lane? Dougie Nussmeier, a.k.a. Mills Lane. Hold on, fam. We got to do a voice comparison. We're going to pause the show for a second. We're going to do a voice comparison, man. And we're going to do some voice work here and find out what's going on, man. All right. Hold on, fam. We're going to pause the show for a second. We're going to do a voice comparison. Is this the voice of Doug Nussmeier?
Is failing miserably.
Let's get it on!
He's the most famous ref on earth, thanks to restoring order to 4 of boxing's most lawless, weird, and outrageous fights.
The skydiver has just landed here at ringside.
The infamous Fan Man. Boxing's Law and Order.
8 minutes here, 2-point talk.
All rise. Second Judicial District Court stated.
Yeah, he was a judge too. That's crazy. A referee and a judge.
In Reno, Lane dispenses justice on a full-time
basis. Rest in peace, Mills
He's
Lane.
a district judge in Washoe County, Nevada.
Mr. Stroud has 18 prior convictions, 8 of them are felonies.
His nickname,
You're going to do time. I
It's
guarantee
Doug
all the time I
Nussmeier.
can give him.
Maximum Mills.
What's a Mills Lane courtroom like? Are you a let's get it on kind of judge?
Well, it's not a Mills Lane courtroom. It's the people's courtroom where Mills Lane is presiding.
I stand
Getting the opportunity to really get out there and going and everything, just sort of maybe the excitement level around that.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting for us for our staff, at least for most of the staff. A couple guys have been here in the past.
It's a courtroom where we start on time. You know, it's after 9 o'clock. What time do you get up in the morning? We're
all very excited. And the biggest thing is it's going to boil down to 11 on 11 between the lines. And the biggest thing is for us to play.
Mr. Deputy Sheriff, take him into custody. Some guy was talking to a defense lawyer, and he said, quote, "Good morning, Judge Lane is my worst nightmare."
I have a long history with Alvin, being in Alabama with him when he came out of high school. And so, we were there for a year and then following his career from there on, just, a lot of respect for obviously everything he's accomplished throughout his career. And you just.
Oh, man, y'all, Mr. Don, you the truth, brother. You the truth. I was trying to figure it out. I think we got a winner, family. We got a winner. What's up, St. John? What's up, Slim L Dog? What's up, fam? All right, Q time, man. Yeah, he said we don't care about his voice, just his knowledge, baby. But it's funny, though, Q. Come on, bro. Q time. Come on, bro. You a relative, man. You got to cut it out. All right. Young City 9. What's up, bro? Shout out to you, man. What's up, Barbara? Shout out to my girl, Barbara. What's up, Tragic? What's up, 504 Rusty? Michael Mitchell, student, YO. What's up, fam? Good to see you. Brother Marlo, how you doing, man? Good to see you in the building, baby. Ro, what's up, Ro? What's popping, fam? I see y'all, man. Much love to y'all, man. Let's get on. Let's get on back to Dougie, aka Mills Lane Nussmeier. Here we go.
Juice. When he steps on the field and touches the ball, you feel his juice, and he's got that extra gear, and it's exciting. It's going to be exciting to come out. Obviously had the one real productive play in the preseason, so it'll be really awesome to see him get a lot more than one coming up on Sunday.
How was Saturday night?
Saturday night was a good night. I think I don't know what I did. There was maybe a college football game or something like that happened. That's how good thing.
Boy, let me tell you something. LSU put it on. Hey, listen, man. Let me talk my talk for a second. Because all this time, all I heard was how LSU was going to get beat by Clemson. That's all I was hearing. All the commentators were saying LSU, they're going to lose another one. It's going to be 6 straight years of opening season losses. And all the Tigers did was go in there. Defensively, they were there all game long. The offense struggled. Then like we know, fam, y'all know that whether it's college or anywhere, it's a game of adjustments. The second half happened and LSU made the adjustments from a defensive standpoint and importantly, an offensive standpoint. The offense came out firing. His son played a really solid game. And Nussmeier, who always felt like his son Garrett is a good quarterback, but it was a question in the diehards of LSU of whether Doug Nussmeier can take you to that next level, like you've seen with guys like Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels, who he's kind of following in the line of, right? But man, he was making plays, and they also tried to cheat LSU. Yes, they did with the takeaway touchdown. But you look at that throw that I said Nussmeier is ready for some big time football this year, because that throw at that moment of the game where he laid the football out to Baron Brown along the sideline between the defender where he put that ball at, he put that ball in the one spot that the defender couldn't get to. And it was such a tight window, and Doug Nussmeier threaded that needle. He made that throw, and I was like, wow. And Baron Brown caught the ball and got the touchdown. And then they were saying, oh, he got out on the 1 yard line. Then they went back, looked at it, found out the man was actually touchdown, and referees came, oh, he was incomplete. They tried to cheat LSU, and it should have been 24-10, but ultimately LSU defense kept kicking them in their teeth, and the offense did enough to win the game. So they did a wonderful job in an environment that was extremely hostile. And them bastards were out there trying to cheat us, by the way, but we got up out of there with a W. So in the end, man, Garrett Nussmeier, that was a big throw during a big moment of the game. I was like, that guy, here we go. He might be something here. That was a huge throw and a catch by them, man. I was like, damn, that was big time. Anyway, let's get back to this.
What did you talk to a particular quarterback about when you following that game?
Just happy for their whole program. I was go to Clemson. That's a really good football team, and there's two really good football teams. Obviously, it's early in the year, but it was a very good football game.
I don't think we asked you yet, talked about it, but just the obvious fact that your son scored number 18 at LSU. You talked about how much that meant to him. What does that mean to you as well?
I think anytime your child gets recognized by his peers, the people that I know how important it is for us to talk about what's important in our locker room to our coaches and our players. And anytime you have a child that gets recognized by his peers and his coaches and the people within his building for being something that represents what they want their program to represent, I think it's one, you feel blessed, you feel fortunate, and obviously proud.
Did you see anything that you gave advice on during the Saturday game that you took to heart?
It should be proud. Garrett came out in the second half and played really good, man.
Has stood out to you throughout this offseason about Dylan Riggs?
Yeah, Dylan's done a really good job, and obviously had to step in with Trevor's injury and has played well, and really excited about what he's done, and he's been dialed in since day one, been assignment sound, and really feel fortunate that we have the ability to plug him in if we need be with Trevor's situation.
Show full display of what this offense can do after preseason.
Well, I think that you're still in week one. So we talk a lot about our process. We talk a lot about playing our style of football. And I think that's most important going into this game is that we lean into what the pillars of our program are. We got to play clean, fast football. We can't have mistakes. We can't have penalties, those type of things. You go out in an opener, we got to take care of the football and all those little things that you take for granted. They become really big in openers.
In a game like this, when it's week one and everything's kind of new for both sides, do you find that you focus more on doing what it is that you want to do, or are you still taking into account trying to maybe adjust to the things that you're expecting?
Well, I think there's always that fine line balance every week when you do that. You're always, looking at your opponent and ways to strategically attack them. Yet at the same point in time, you can't make it all about attacking them and forget about who we are and what we do well. So there's always that fine line, and we'll find that balance.
Spencer's scrambling ability, is that something you kind of encourage even, early in games, early in drives? If something positive is there, you can take it? Or how do you kind of approach that part of the game?
Well, play extension is a big part of playing quarterback. And there's different types of play extension. Some guys extend plays from within the pocket, and that means a half-man slide off the midline to buy yourself a little more time before I have to get it out before I'm going to take a hit. Or, to the next level where I actually have to escape and get out and run. So, that's big with all of our quarterbacks. It's a big part of the game. Because when you talk about defensive structure, they're built to, win that 2.3, as they say, the beginning of part of the snap. Now, what are we going to do afterwards? And a lot of it is not just on the quarterback. We train the receivers, we train the tight ends, the running backs, all of our passing group. And hey, there are certain places we've got to get and certain reactions we need to get when we get into scramble phase.
So how much has that changed in the last, say, 10 years, maybe 15? I don't know. The defensive looks changing post snap on the quarterback. It seems like it's been an evolution over the last period of time, making it difficult on the quarterback.
Sure. I do think there's a lot more disguise going on in the league. A lot of it is the style of offense that's being played too, because you've seen a big transition from, we go back to the days of the I backs and big tight end, two backs in the backfield, and really you were in some form of I or you were some form of slot formation. Now you got all these spread formations with empty and that kind of thing. So the defensive guys just aren't going to stand there and let you know what they're in. So they've evolved, and now they create problems for us because
got to draw them out.
Getting overload pressures, and there's athletic defensive linemen that are running out in coverage and those type of things that create problems for you in your hots and sights and those kind of things. So yeah, it's a chess match that goes on both sides of the ball.
I think Doug Nussmeier, man, is got some game, and like we talked about with the Saints, man, we all know, and he made mention of the fact that even in the interview, they're on the same accord. Like Spencer Rattler know, the Saints, that's a part of the advantage, like being in a rhythm, coming out of the huddle and operating in a rhythm, a timed offense that's fast, that puts pressure on the opposing defenses. It's going to be, are they going to play with that type of consistent speed and rhythm, like you putting fast guys out there moving around, that type of thing? Getting the ball out faster helps our offensive line in terms of protection. Like, we don't have to worry as much about Dylan Redunce or Trevor Penning or even Cesar Ruiz when he's struggling. We getting the ball out fast, and handling the business. So we'll see what this looks like, man. But Doug Nussmeier made some interesting points there. So, what's up, St. John 34? He says, yeah, I know, bro. You close your eyes. You can't tell the difference between Mills Lane. I was like, man, I heard this guy talk before, man. This is what it is. All right. Yeah. John says, I can't unhear it now. Yeah, I know. That's crazy, man. What's up, Ramsey? Shout out to Ramsey, man. Appreciate you for being on the line. Yeah, I'm watching some of that right now, man. I'm looking at the game. It's some of that crap right now. It's a 7-all between the two teams right now. Quarterback's looking all right, man. The numbers ain't bad either. What's up, Yvette? Shout out to Yvette. Appreciate her for being here in the building. KT, shout out to you. Don't hate on LSU, KT. We know Dougie Nussmeier's son, Garrett Nussmeier. You can't. Hey, KT, you're a scout. Now you tell me how he didn't play that well in the first half. I got to give it. He didn't play that well at the first half. But boy, I'm telling you, Brian Kelly, right before they let Brian Kelly go into the locker room, you always get the sideline reporter walks up to the coach and talks to him and say, hey, such and such. And he was cool and calm. I said, this dude going to be blown up in there. And he went in there, he must have called him everything but a child of God in that locker room, because the offense came out the second half and they started cooking. They just started cooking. They didn't care about all the loud people in that stadium out there. They didn't care about the cheating ass, referees. They just went to business. They just went right to business and just started handling business. They didn't allow Clemson to do anything. And the offense was just tearing them up. They should have beat them 24 to 10. But they, like I said, they cheated the hell out of them with that touchdown. I was like, I just wanted to go and kick that rat face umpire with the slump back. I was like, yeah, that call is about it. It's just play the game correct. How you have I don't understand. You have all these monitors everywhere. There should not be a bad call unless they're trying to do something mischievous. That's how I look at it. You pause it, you use several different angles, you clearly see something, what it is, and they still call it the opposite way. And even the commentators are like, man, that's a touchdown. And I was like, yeah, they're trying to steal the game from them, but it didn't work. We got it and you didn't. So anyway, shout out to my Tigers. What's up, Ramsey? Young City 9, brother Duke, shout out to you. Mr. Don said, I think we're better than people think. People just say your whole team is bad if you don't have a QB. If Rattler plays at least average, we have a chance. That's what I'm saying. That is the ridiculousness of this foolishness about saying the Saints ain't going to be this or that because they don't even say the head coaches. They skip right past the head coach and say the Saints quarterback room is the worst in the NFL. I'm like, what are your barometer? What are you talking about? How are you measuring this? How are you coming up with this? And if you challenge their talking point and challenge them to think what they're saying, the majority of the time they're getting that shit they're regurgitating something they heard from a national media personality who don't know shit about the team. Anybody that know about the Saints know that the Saints ain't the worst team in the NFL. Just because they have a second-year quarterback sitting on top of the team and you got playmakers all over the field. And you got a guy that's known to be innovative in terms of the offense. You got a top three, in my opinion, a top 5 running back in Elvin Kamara there. Kendre is healthy. A really good running back room in my estimation. You have two, Chris Olave. People forget about Chris Olave, because he's getting these concussions. People forget about Chris Olave with his speed, his route running, and all of those fantastic catches. Have we forgotten Chris Olave one hand grabs them difficult catches with him running and blazing them people out and catching them? One hand grabs along the sideline, the Green Bay game, the Carolina game. People forget Chris Olave because they're concussing them. They're hitting them in their helmet. But this is who you have. Jawan Johnson ain't a great blocker, but Jawan Johnson can do some positive stuff for you. I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged because I know for a fact that the Saints offense is going to be better than what it was last year. That's what I'm saying. I spotted the Saints 2 wins because Dennis Allen is not here, because his stupid offensive coordinator is gone. I spot him wins because he didn't get in the way of the coach. Even Spencer Rattler said, it's a different feeling here. He didn't mean to shoot shade, but he was telling the truth. And the truth was they had, the team came together with teamship building exercises, paintball, this kind of stuff. He mentioned a player you can't deal without, Eric McCoy. And who is that? McCoy is the center. You have McCoy. McCoy is the brains and brawn, and he keeps these guys organized. He's a calming influence in the Saints room insofar as when they're out there on that field, he's settling everybody down, telling them what you need to do and what you need to do. And this year, there's been an accelerated amount of aggression from Eric McCoy because the last 4 years of funk and failure. So hey man, I don't know where they get. I know where they're getting it from, the national media people downplaying the Saints in Vegas numbers, picking the Saints. But you got to play the games on the field. All right, yes, sir. Shout out, cigarette, yes, cigarette voice. Yeah, Nussmeier, something going on, brother. All right, anyway, man, here, this is what's going on here, man. The Cowboys and Eagles right now, the boys up top. The Cowboys handling the business. They're taking care of business on the Philadelphia Eagles. Y'all know that's a big rivalry between them two teams. That's a good game to start out with, to be honest with you, fam. That's a very interesting game to start out. The first game of the season, you open up, which it's like us starting week 1, opening up against the Falcons. So if this gives, this is very meaningful, this Thursday night football game between the Cowboys and the Eagles, right? This is a very meaningful game in many respects. And if the Cowboys lose after all this Parsons stuff and all this kind of stuff, they're up 14-7 right now. We'll see if it remains as we keep it going. But anyway, let's jump to the defensive side. Well, Mr. Brandon Staley talking about the Saints defense. We know offense. We just heard from Dougie Nussmeier. We know about the Saints offense and what they got to do, playing fast. And you have and the 34 look is going to also be fast. We know Chase is dealing with some issues, but we got good depth pieces. That's what the depth chart's for, right? So anyway, let's hear what Coach Staley had to say, man, today about the defense.
Yeah, Ross, they do a really good job with their running game, both with their scheme and I think the way they use their personnel. I think their O-line is extremely well coached. They play with a lot of tight ends. And then I think their running back group runs really, really tough and physical. So I've got a ton of respect for James Conner. I think he's one of the underrated backs in the league. He's got a great story, and he's just a really physical player. And then when you factor in Kyler as a part of that equation too, they're very dangerous in that phase. And that's kind of, been the engine of their team the last couple of years.
I was going to ask you about the tight ends, like the amount of 13 they play is like, I think the highest in the league. And some of the stuff they're able to do with those guys, like how does that maybe dictate some of the matchups and how do you deal with it?
Yeah, I mean, you're adding gaps in the run game and you're adding vertical threats in the passing game. So I think Drew Petzing does a really good job tying it all together, the marriage of the run and the pass. And I think all three of those tight ends complement one another. And it gives them a lot of flexibility with how they play because they all play really different roles, but impactful roles for their team. So, they're one of the teams that's unique in that way right now.
I always want to qualify when I ask a 3-4 versus 4-3 question because I know it's not that simple. But in general, is a 3-4 scheme better suited to handle mobile quarterbacks and keep them corralled, do you think? Or that's case by case?
That's interesting. Does he sound like Rizzy? Rizzy is, that's who's more raspier, Rizzy or Nuss or Doug? Boy, that's some raspy bastards there, man.
I think it's based on personnel, whether you're 4-3 or 3-4, your actual people rushing and how you rush the quarterback. That's the biggest factor. And, I think when you're playing a player like Kyler, you're not going to bat a perfect percentage for 4 quarters. So it's really a team operation. It's not just the rushers, it's the coverage players too. And so it's a 60-minute fight against a player like that. And you got to have great stamina.
I agree.
You got to play a lot of people because you want to be fresh in the fourth quarter. To be able to rush him at the end when it counts. But yeah, he's one of the premier guys in the league running the football and making plays outside the pocket.
It'd be hard to find the right balance between how aggressive you want to be and how you want to make sure you don't leave any openings if you're too aggressive.
Yeah, definitely. You're trying to find the right balance of how to rush them, who to rush them with, and also being really mindful that they've got really good skill players too. So you want to make sure you try to tie your rush and your coverage together, and force them to work, make them earn it, and knowing that, he's a really good player. He's going to make plays, just like in basketball, there's some guys who are going to make shots, no matter how well you cover. So he's going to make some shots, and our guys just got to keep it moving. We got to keep our composure, and we got to try and have our best at the end.
With Chase Young dealing with injury right now, have y'all done anything in that edge rusher room to maybe add another option?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to roll with the guys that we have, and it's going to take everybody in that room and every other room too. So we've got guys that are going to be ready to do the job. That's why we've been trying to prepare so hard in camp, to get those guys live looks. And, some of those guys that are role players, having them play against starters in the preseason and stuff like that, that helps them, so the game one isn't the first time they played against, the big time competition. So it's going to take everybody. And I'm excited about our guys. They do it the right way. And it's going to be a great challenge for us on Sunday.
Talk about personnel-wise when it comes to managing mobile quarterbacks. How much does that star position sort of factor into that along with the defensive front?
Yeah, I mean, I think all of the ways that you can rush them, if you can have multiple different, types of rushers, I think that can help you. But again, in theory, they're faster players, but they're also not used to rushing the passer as much as our guys on the edge. So it's how you rush them. And it's everybody. If you are going to decide to rush somebody from, the perimeter or from behind the ball, they've got to rush just like the guys up front, and they've got to have that same type of awareness of the pocket and how he plays and then how dangerous he is in the pocket.
I like how we were talking before about how Julian and Dustin complement each other. So do edge rushers complement each other at all? Like do Carl and Chase?
Yeah, I do. I agree with that 100%. I think about the Dome Patrol, New Orleans, Pat Swilling and Ricky Jackson. You have a power rusher in Ricky Jackson with a speed rusher like Pat Swilling.
He invoking the
been
dome.
Fortunate in the NFL, Khalil Mack and Leonard Floyd, those guys playing together. Von Miller and Bradley Chubb. I think that there's a lot to that. And so, I think if you look at the great combinations, that's certainly, I think, something that you want to have. And I think we have enough versatility here that we can play that way too.
Patrol.
And as you mentioned, our guys are accomplished rushers. We've got 3 guys for sure that have produced at a high level, and Chris has been a veteran in this league for a long time too. And, we have Fidel too, and a couple other guys too, that we feel like at least, they fit the description of an edge player. So
just on a personal level, like how cool is it for you to be on the opposite sideline from Jonathan?
Yeah, it's one of those, we've come a long way, since playing each other on the basketball court in the 4th grade. So, he's one of the best I know. He means a lot to me, and I'm just so happy for him. Not surprised at all where he is, because I've seen it for a long time. So he's done a hell of a job coaching and leading that football team. And on Sunday, it's going to be, one of those special moments that we get to share together. But at the same time, we're there to win. So
one of the more innovative schemes right now, just like the way they use their safeties and disguise and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Jonathan's one of the top coaches defensively in the league, but he's not just a defensive coach. I mean, I think the way they play offensively fits, very well with how, he believes in leading a team too. And I think on special teams,
the Cardinals are interesting.
Rogers,
That's for certain.
I had the chance to work with, Jay's brother. They're very, very specific on special teams too. So he's just a complete coach. And again, very happy for his success.
Had a chance to work together, right?
I think a lot of what we see from lined up with what Coach Staley saying about the Saints defense, he's invoking the Dome Patrol. And the thing is, and that's done because obviously the last decent time we ran, the Saints participated in 34 defense was the Dome Patrol. So invoking that energy is big, man. I don't see the Saints being as good as that unit. Perhaps maybe they do. That's a tall order, because by Hall of Famers, their mentions is the best defense that ever existed in the NFL. I think Mike Singletary said it. Some of the greatest linebackers said the Saints defense. They said the Saints defense, the Dome Patrol, was one of the NFL's best defense. It's up there. So, man, if they'll be a tall order, I'm just looking for them to be a top 10 unit, a top 10, top 12 unit in handling the business. And the way they looked with the scheme change from the 43 to the 34, this in preseason and throughout the practice sessions, they looked real comfortable doing that, man. So that's very interesting, man, to say the least. All right. Shout out to you, man. Shout out, fam. All right. Big ups to you. All right. Student says in Hawaii they call Murray the Filipino chicken. All right. All right. Ramsey says Staley sounds. Yeah, well, I got him up a tad. I got the interview sped up just a tab. That's why it sounds like that. I try to get through them damn things. All right. Mr. Don said Turnbull was a good player on that team too. Doesn't get mentioned much. No, not much. You talking about the great Ricky Jackson, Sam Mills, Pat Swillen, Vaughn Johnson, and Turnbull came off the bench. When Pat left, I think Turnbull had an opportunity to start. But yeah, Turnbull was another really solid player the Saints had in the linebacker core. But a lot of the front guys don't get mentioned much in the Dome Patrol. When they say Dome Patrol, they just show full linebackers, which is a shame. Because even though those guys were great, there were guys up front that helped make them great. Frank Warren, Jim Wilkes, all these guys. They need to get mentioned too. So when they did the Dome Patrol pictures and they had to sit in front of the dome with the Jeeps and all that, they should have added some of them guys with it, man. So, but it is what it is, simply. All right, Jaden says 2 rushes in my big Q voice. That's right. 2 rushes. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm looking at some of this stuff going on right now in the second, 7:42 remaining on the clock. Cowboys up 14-7, and the Eagles have the ball and are marching in the red zone. So let's see, let's see if the Eagles can go up and tie this thing, man, and on the Cowboys, man. Right now, Jalen Hurts is 6 for 6. He doing some stuff, man. He's 6 for 6, just 31 yards. He scrambled 4 times. He got a touchdown scrambling, and he has 35 yards. So he's the the number 1 rusher as well as the passer. Dak's not doing bad either. 5 or 6 for 79 yards. Their running back Williams has 34 yards rushing, and also has 2 rushing touchdowns. So not bad. And of course, just now the Eagles score. So the Eagles have tied up the game. 8-yard touchdown run by Jalen Hurts. So he got 5 scrambles for 2 touchdowns and 43 yards right there. And Jaden Daniels does what Jaden Daniels does. He gets touchdowns, and he just tied the game. It's 14 all between Cowboys and the Eagles. So there you go. This 14 up. All right, there we go. All right, yeah, I'm a little delayed. All right, KT says, Q, scouts heads up. Keep your eyes on wide receiver Nick Anderson and wide receiver Nick. Yeah, Harbaugh, I am aware of Harbor and Anderson as well. A lot of people think he's going to have an exceptional year, him coming out doing this thing. But we don't see, man. Coach Kelly alluded to having different players operate and throwing them in there. It's going to be interesting, man. I think this year is going to be really good football for LSU, man. English says Hurts is carving these carving them up. IL Dub says I'm glad the Saints don't have to face Hurts this year. This is a part of you might not face Hurts, but we do have a scrambling quarterback in Kyler Murray that we'll have to do something with. We can't allow him, and he's little guy's undersized, but he makes plays. So we have to be able to keep him under control and not allow him to hurt us. That's true. All right. Anyway, we got one more article before we get ready to go. If y'all have any questions or comments, please feel free to throw them in the chat. Do me a service and hit the like button. We up in this thing. Much love. All right. What's up, Pelican Nola? Shout out to you. All right. How about this one? Were you guys aware of all of the records that Alvin Kamara could break this year? In the NFL, Saints Alvin Kamara on the verge of breaking Marshall Faulk's NFL record for running back receiving. Were y'all aware of that? If not, pay attention to this. Shout out to Sporting News. There have been very few running backs in NFL history like AK-41. The Saints star is great rushing, but he's also exceptional receiving, and because of that, he's on the verge of a couple of NFL records. Right? All right. Cat Terrell shared some stats with people. Alvin can become the 5th running back in NFL history with 600 career receptions if he catches 27 more passes. He'll be the 5th best running back in the NFL. Alvin Kamara needs 56 catches to pass Marshall Faulk for the most receptions by a running back in his first 9 years. Kamara, who's 30 years old, enters his season with 573 catches. On those receptions, he has 4,762 receiving yards and 25 touchdowns. That, in addition to the 6,779 rushing yards and 60 touchdowns on the ground. So almost 6,800 yards rushing and 60 touchdowns. That's amazing. The Saints aren't expected to be a great team this year. See, they rolled out. So how that's the interesting part about the analysis. You could talk about how fantastic the Saints star running back is, but then in the same side of, or the opposite side of one's mouth, say they're not expected to have a great year this year. But Alvin Kamara's on the team. Chris Olave. Very interesting thought process here, because they're regurgitating national narratives. They're not thinking for themselves on this topic. And it's interesting. But the Saints aren't expected to be a great team this year. They've got Spencer Rattler starting at QBC. Spencer doesn't make them great. He makes them bad in week one, and that could become rookie Tyler Shuck before long. What if it isn't? What if Spencer Rattler actually goes out there and operates the offense and does a good job? It's either he does or he doesn't. So why do you lean to one more than other? It's just my account. Kamara will have to be the steadying force. He's still expected to get the most running touchdowns or touches, and he certainly will get thrown plenty of short passes to try and give an inexperienced QB a chance. Given that role, Kamara can likely pass Falk if he stays healthy. I mean, Alvin Kamara, the majority of the time, does stay healthy, right? He's not perfect, but he does. He's only had one season with fewer than 56 catches, and that's when he had 47 in 13 games in 2021. If Kamara is on the field, passing Falk shouldn't be no problem. And to pass Falk in running back receiving stat is as good as it gets, because Alvin Kamara is great. Alvin Kamara is great. He's not a regular running back, and that's the point of the story, is that Alvin Kamara is great at what he does. He's a great running back. He's great, and he is a member of the New Orleans Saints team. And his role, him having, and like I said, I think Alvin Kamara at 30 could be poised to have his greatest year. If the Saints are playing, and you heard Coach Nussmeier said it, you heard Spencer Rattler say it tonight about the speed. We've seen him show and exhibit getting fast wide receiver and putting an onus on having guys that can really take off. So speed in the room, in the Saints wide receiver room, as well as speed in the running back room, just overall offensive speed. And with a quarterback and getting the ball out fast helps Spencer Rattler. He mentions being more decisive. That feeds into the thought process of speed. So in the end, if you have great players on your team like Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, guys like that, I mean, not one guy, but you spread it around, the Saints should have some success. Like I said, I spotted them 2 wins on top of whatever they did last year, just because they got Dennis Allen out of here. To be honest with you. So in the end, the guy has something to work with. I don't understand all this bullshit about, the Saints going to be bad. And then in one light, Alvin Kamara is about to break Marshall Faulk record. He just need a few spots. It's all based on how the Saints offensive line up front. It's not one individual player will decide how the Saints season goes. It's a team effort, all 11 guys, and that's how it works in most NFL games. It's about which 11 comes to play. You can have more players, spend more money on your players, have more experienced players, but we've seen day in and day out through the NFL, teams that have more experience, that spent more money on their team, get beat by the opposite. Why? Because that team didn't come to play that game. That's why you have underdogs. It happens every week. An underdog either in beating up a guy who was favored to win the game. Why? Because that other guy started believing the hype that he's bigger than what he is and as good as what he is. And then the little guy smacks him up. So in the end, I think it bodes well. Even Spencer Rattler mentioned that too. He said you got to block out the noise and all this kind of stuff. He ain't block out that noise. He heard that noise. Even the great Michael Jordan talked about using these things as motivation to improve and be better. Sometimes the noise is good. Not all times noise is bad. because if you ferret it out, most of the time, all the noise is just not noise. You can't call indifferent, this, that, and third as noise because most of it is real good commentary about improvement. Somebody that knows how to have discerning ability, have the ability to be able to kind of filter out what's valid and which you can use and which you can't. Because a lot of times that's where that good game come from. You just have to hear it. But that's what I'm saying. This is one of the points that I talk about the Saints offensive line and the concepts of speed. How are the Saints going to look? We got a couple of days to see. But anyway, shout out to you guys. OG, shout out to you. Good to see you in the chat. All right. Big Ant says, if we win this first game, we're going to have a good season. Shout out to you, Big Ant. Appreciate you, my brother. All right. And that's probably a poll I'm going to put up tonight, too. We got a preview stream tomorrow at, I think it's 8 p.m. Central Time. We got a couple of folks, guests coming in to talk about from the Arizona side of the fence to help us preview Saints Cardinals week 1 Sunday going down. Gonna be interesting. All right, St. Doug's brother St. John, says, does Kamara make it to Canton? I think he does. When it's all said and done and Alvin Kamara's playing career is up with him breaking Hall of Famers records, wouldn't that make you a Hall of Famer? And it's not just that, it's the fact that he's just phenomenal. He's a different type of guy. And really, like I said, the last 4 years, they kind of burned off a lot of Elvin's really good years. The last 4 years was a waste because these idiots didn't know how to use the man. But I don't think that'll be the case this time. If you're the Saints and you're probably going to be using 3-4 wide receiver formations, which spread out the defense, and you got a satellite back like Alvin Kamara, he thrives in space. So if you create space on the football field by stretching out defenses, Alvin Kamara is going to eat. Kendre Miller is going to eat. So it's just fun. We'll see how the Saints offense, and we know it'll be a little training going on, a little learning what they need to do. But at the same time, man, that's what it's about, All right, Mr. Don says, I'm pretty sure that the national media thought the Commanders, I call them the Whataburgers, would be bad last year too. When the QB situation is unknown, you can't predict it. Indeed, that's what they do. It's a default setting in the head. Oh, you don't know who the quarterback is. He ain't do nothing. Oh, bad. And then wipe the whole team with it and say they're going to be a losing organization because you have an inexperienced play. And then you watch games where we seen, what Golf did, even though he has some experience, not a good example. But you talk about Jaden Daniels with Washington, you talk about CJ Stroud with the Houston Texans a couple of years ago. And there are other examples where teams excelled and started picking up games and winning games. The underdog effect is a real thing. The Saints playing under it. There's no pressure on the Saints from the national press. They already designated the Saints as a bullshit organization in terms of the team on the field, and that they're not going to win any games. They're going to be lining up to draft a guy that's probably not going to be available in Arch Man. And if we don't get him, we're going to get Nussmeier's son here. Even though the ridiculousness of how that sounds makes it look bad, the fact that, do we really think Kellen Moore is going to take Doug Nussmeier's son next year and he just took Tyler Shuck here? We're going to waste picks on quarterbacks and back-to-back. I mean, high picks. We ain't talking no rinky-dink 5th round pick or 4th round pick for a Hainer and all this kind of stuff. We did take a couple of these guys back-to-back, but that's only the reason why the Saints took quarterbacks back-to-back is they were changing coordinators. Every coordinator had his own quarterback. So we hope, and we got Kellen Moore, so we hope that he sticks around. Him and Doug Nussmeier stick around for more than a year. So if that's indeed the case, I don't see how you would say, okay, I'm going to draft my son. And we just going to let them. No, you might need that pick from somewhere else, being that you did send up picks, but we'll see how it works. There is nepotism in the NFL. I just kind of find it really tough that you say, okay, we took Tyler in 2nd round pick. Next year, we take a Nussmeier's son. We'll see, man. But like I said, they took quarterbacks every year the last 3 years because they changed coordinators every year. Everybody had their own guy. These other guys, Spencer was a 5th round pick. Jake was a 4th. Tyler's a 2. And usually you got a higher value with some of those guys, right? It's going to be interesting. We'll see, man. We'll see. All right. All right. AKT says AK hits 100 total touchdowns this season. I'm calling. All right. Thank you, KT. All right. Yeah. English says, I'm sure will lead the way, telling us to give. He says, I'm sure Chosen will lead the way, telling us to give Chase Young time to heal up and not rush to judgment. Like that. Yeah. Whatever it is, like, and Kellen Moore is downplaying it. But the Saints did make a move on the Chase Young thing. You know, he usually, when you see them go from limited, you see them go from the status of limited in practice to DMP. That's not good. That's a setback. Then you see them sign a defensive player to go on the practice squad to fill in the slot. So if Chase Young is not available to play, you can see a guy, his backup is Chris Rumph, but then the Saints could activate if they feel like they need to deactivate, if they need Chris Rumph to step in and play or start if Chase can't go. And then if they need to make a corresponding move somewhere along the line, Fadil Diggs is there, who can also step in as a backup if you need him to. But the Saints did sign Garrett Nelson to the practice squad today. Now it can mean something, it can mean nothing. But if you have an issue like the injury issue going into week one, the number one look at the injury situation is the fact that Chase Young was DMP'd. And a corresponding move that's not corresponding or linked to what happened with Chase Young, the Saints pick up a defensive end in Garrett Nelson. So it's based on how this thing is perceived, right? All right, KT says Q take the Penn State 8th rusher in the first round next year's draft, and it works out pretty well. Ram says Q, just let you know I just celebrated my 55th birthday on last Wednesday. Let's give you a round of applause and happy Who Dat birthday, belated birthday to you. Shout out to you, my brother. Happy 55th birthday, bro. That's big, man. That's a blessing from the Most High. A lot of people didn't make it there, my brother. All right. Yeah, another Bronco. That's right, Slip. Don't tell me about them connections. John says you have to keep the taking the QB until you get the right one.
He ain't lying.
Oh, man. That's how we do it, John. Just keep taking them. Keep on taking them until you get one. Oh, my goodness. All right. Yeah, indeed, man. Indeed. All right. Shout out to Ramsey, man. Ramsey's a diehard, man, from way back in the day, man. Happy 55th to you, my brother. All right. Appreciate you, bro. All right. And this is the thing, man. So, anyway, with that being said, I'm going to get ready to cut out on that, man. I'm looking at the Cowboys. They're up. They got a field goal. They're up 17-14 with the little field goal they kicked right now with 2 minutes, about over 2 minutes before the halftime period right now. And it's kind of close, man. Very interesting. When you got them rivalry games right out the gate, man, you better be ready because that could be a tough loss to either one of them to start the season off, man. You want to start it off on the right foot, especially. That's like us playing the Falcons in week one and losing to the that kind of sours the start of your season like that, man. That's rough, tough. Anyway, with that being said, do y'all listen, fam? Tomorrow programming note. On Friday, we'll be doing a preview, Saints and Cardinals week one preview. We'll be bringing in some hosts from the other side of things to talk about the Arizona Cardinals to get us familiarized with the team and the concepts and what they see. And we'll preview this whole thing on Friday. It'll be a good broadcast. Y'all feel free to join us tomorrow, I think 8 Central Time with our guests. And we'll be covering and talking about Saints and Cardinals on Friday night, baby. You know how we do. And also, y'all do us a service and hit the like button. Shout out to the family members. We have an influx of new family members that have joined the channel, man, and we've crossed over the 14,000 mark. So a round of applause for that. Yes, indeed. Cross 40. 14, excuse me. I said 40. Freudian slip. It's coming, though. But anyway, man, listen, y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. By all means, feel free to share the show on your social media feed. We're going to be back up in this thing, man, tomorrow night to talk about it all again and then some, baby. So with that being said, have a really good rest of your night, fam. I'll let you tomorrow. Much love, peace, and who that take.
like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Long as I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shade for the championship. Fucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, money like this, and I'm a Who Dat. Every day I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like this, and I'm a Who Dat. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
WhoThatDaily.com. That's right, the WhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who Dat and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoThatDaily.com is your site. The WhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who Dat in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. Remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. Check out the Pro Shop and Who Dat too.